Hello, everyone. Today I have a very special guest here with me on the Amazing Day podcast. This person is a middle school English teacher. She's been on a bit of a wellness journey for the past 2 years. She might not really think so, but I think that she's definitely like transformed in terms of her wellness. My older sister Kelly is here. So, Kelly, welcome to the Amazing Day podcast.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Bonnie.
I don't know if that intro was good, but I think it was fine.
I think it's fine.
I wanted
That's
to,
that's pretty
yeah.
much that's who I am.
I
I'm a middle
started
school language arts teacher.
I started laughing when I was saying she's on a wellness journey because like I feel like not that you've really like tried to be on a wellness journey, but I think that you have
hmm
like a lot of wellness tips that you can share with us during the podcast. Um
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely been some changes that I've made in my life that, might seem like wellness changes. I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
was
nothing
also
like crazy, I guess.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
was
know.
also going to say to the listeners that Kelly and I are very close siblings. And when I was back
hmm
in New Jersey, me and her really developed like a wellness routine together where we were going for walks and like always hanging out and catching up. And now that I'm in Czech Republic, I don't really have that wellness partner here or that walking buddy. But then
Yeah.
also, we don't really catch up as much. So, this podcast is also a good way to catch up and not just focus on wellness, but also just chat about like different things going on in our lives too.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. I feel like we got into such a nice routine. And then also with the time change, I feel like we text a lot more and we
yeah,
don't have a lot of time for like phone calls or FaceTimes.
yeah,
Because by the time I'm out of school, like you're in bed. So the
yeah,
only time that we're really able to talk like on the phone or FaceTime is like on the weekends.
yeah,
So it's tricky.
yeah. So yeah, definitely the school is what's, you're busy during the week now, so it's harder for us to catch up. But so how's your school year going so far?
It's been going. It's definitely an interesting vibe this year. I am teaching two honors classes and one that is a co-taught class. I have a new co-teacher this year who has been teaching for a really long time. So it's really cool because I'm learning a lot of new things from her. And it's definitely pushing me and forcing me to grow in some areas that like previously I might have struggled with, like especially with
Hmm.
classroom management. She's
Yeah.
like a beast, and like I need to definitely take some of like her classroom management
She's a
skills.
beast. That's funny.
She's awesome. She's a lot more strict than I am.
Hmm.
But the way that she is strict, it allows the classroom to run really smoothly, and like just like the routines and stuff that she wants to be part of our classroom, I think has been really, really helpful for me to see,
Hmm.
and something that I can then take into my other classes.
Hmm.
Um, and then my honors classes, I think, are really like genuinely advanced students this year, which is really cool to see. So I'm able to kind of push them in a way that I haven't in like previous years.
Hmm.
Um, so it's a big year of growth, I think, this year. I think it's going to be a
Yeah.
year where I learn a lot about myself as a teacher and I learn a lot about how to best teach
Hmm.
these kids that I have.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about this year. It's been tiring and it's been really hard,
Yeah.
but I feel like this year is like a really pivotal year for my
Yeah.
like skills as a
Yeah.
teacher, which is
I was
cool.
curious just like how the transition is like going from the summer back into school. I feel like it's
Oh,
like
it's hard.
exhausting, right? It's
Yeah,
exhausting.
at this point, we are going into week 7 of the school year. So I like to
Hmm.
keep count of the weeks. That's kind of how I like organize my, like, this sounds silly, but like that's how I organize my Google Drive. So I keep track of like the weeks.
Yeah.
And so we're going into week 7. So we're really deep in the swing of things at this point.
Hmm.
Um, and I would say weeks like 1 through 4
Hmm.
things were pretty easy. I was definitely
Yeah.
tired because it's a huge schedule shift, but generally things were going pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
And then the last like 3 weeks, we've had a lot of like graded assignments coming up. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's where the exhaustion is like really starting to hit me.
Hmm.
Um, and also like this is a huge change is the way that I eat during the school year is so different from the way that I eat during the like during the summer,
Yeah.
because I have to be so much more intentional with the way that I like plan what I'm going to bring for lunch and
Yeah.
meal prep dinner, because I'm exhausted at the end of the day and I don't want to like end up
Yeah.
just snacking.
Yeah.
So I feel
So,
like that's a
yeah.
big change too.
What's your go-to meals that you prep for the week? How do you go about that?
I'm recently on like a ground turkey kick. That sounds strange. But like I'll meal prep like some ground turkey, some rice, and
Like
then I can kind of like
you just like mix it all together.
I'll
Like
just
just
make
like
it in a
okay.
frying pan with like a little bit of olive oil, and I'll season it just like salt, pepper, garlic, maybe throw a little cumin in there. Um, but I make it like pretty basic, not like super flavorful. And then like I'll switch up the vegetables that I put in there.
Mm-hmm.
This week I was making like a ground turkey, brown rice, roasted carrots, and kimchi bowl.
Oh yeah,
Um,
kimchi. This is
Kimchi
something
has
you want to talk
been,
about.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Bonnie and I, before this podcast, she was like, okay, what are some things that you want to talk about? And I was like, well, I've recently been eating a lot of kimchi.
Yeah, I've never had kimchi.
um, Oh, it's awesome. So it's like a spicy cabbage, but it's fermented. So it's
I thought it
like
was just like fermented vegetables in general. It's
it,
just
it can
cabbage
be
or
like, yeah. The one that
yeah.
I have is like a mostly cabbage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's really, really good. It adds a lot of flavor to whatever you're eating. And I like that it's a fermented food because that's like very healthy for your gut to
Yeah.
incorporate some more like fermented vegetables.
Yeah.
Um, so I've been trying to work in like gut healthy ingredients to what I'm
Yeah.
eating on a day to day. Like carrots are also supposed to be really good for your gut health, almonds.
Mm-hmm.
So if I do like anything with yogurt or granola, I try to like chop up some almonds to put on top.
Yeah, where do you
Um,
get your kimchi? Like Trader Joe's
I
or
actually just found it in ShopRite, in like the section where all of like the pickles and stuff
is it
are.
in like a glass jar?
No, it comes in like a bag.
A bag, yeah. That's the thing that I'm nervous
Yeah.
about because here they have like bagged sauerkraut and I keep wanting to try it, but then I'm like I just can't tell if it's like good or not here in Czech Republic because it's not like I don't know, it doesn't say organic on it. I don't know anything about it. I can barely read the food labels here, so it's like I don't know whether or not I want to try like sauerkraut on top of my
Yeah.
things.
Yeah,
Things like that.
it's like the
But it's
same
in
idea. It
plastic.
basically
Okay.
is the same idea, like texture wise. It's like crunchy, kind of like sauerkraut, but the flavor is like I like it a lot more because it's
Mm-hmm.
a little spicier and like still has that vinegary kind of taste, but it's
Yeah.
not like sour the way that like
Mm-hmm.
sauerkraut is.
All right.
Um,
Cool.
I
So
don't know. Yeah.
your lunches at school are mostly consisting of the ground turkey, rice, you
Mhm.
said, and
Yeah, I'll
kimchi?
make some brown rice, some
Yeah.
vegetables. I'll throw some kimchi on top of it.
Yeah.
I also really like eating like yogurt and granola and some fruit,
Yeah.
or cottage cheese and fruit. I really enjoy
Yeah,
too.
cottage cheese is new for you, right?
Yeah, I've recently discovered how much I love cottage cheese.
I never had cottage cheese. I feel like
um,
it's like weird that I have it now. I feel like everyone like is obsessed with cottage cheese now and I'm like being
yeah,
left behind on the cottage cheese trend.
I feel like it's very like trendy right now, which is so strange. I think
Yeah.
people discovered that like for one, it's like good gut health. It has like the cultures in it or
Does it
whatever.
taste like
So
yogurt? Or sorry, keep
no,
going.
it really kind of tastes like cheese. I don't know.
Okay.
Um, but it's kind of like a consistency of a chunky yogurt,
So
which sounds so gross.
you have it with
But
granola?
I'll sometimes I'll put a little bit of granola on it if I want something that's like a little crunchier. But mostly I just do like some chopped up fruit. So like strawberries or peaches is really they're both really good with cottage cheese. And then I chop that up and I put some honey on top. And it kind of almost makes me think of like in the summer when you pair like fruit and cheese together. Like
Yeah.
we'll have like some brie cheese and a slice of an apple. Like fruit and cheese just go so well together. And so cottage cheese is basically like the same idea. You're just having like
Yeah.
something cheesy with some fruit. Um,
I
and
just wish
it's so good.
I wish it wasn't called cottage cheese though. It just sounds weird. Like
It
from
just sounds a little
ever
gross.
since
I
I
don't
was
know.
younger, I always thought it was gross, but then all the health and wellness influencers are eating cottage cheese and making like cottage cheese cookie dough and things like that.
Well, it's
They
also
whip
a
it
really
up and they make
good,
different
yeah.
things. Yeah, I don't know.
It's also like a really good source of protein too.
Yeah.
So like it's an easy way to add extra protein into your meals. Like I have
Yeah.
a friend who blends it in tomato sauce and like puts it in her like NutriBullet, adds a couple scoops into like jarred tomato sauce and eats it with pasta. And it's kind of like a creamy red
Yeah.
sauce then, and it just adds extra protein into your meal when you might
Yeah.
not want to cook meat that
Yeah.
night.
That's good.
Yeah.
I was gonna also ask, going back now to the school and the food and stuff, do you have a
Mhm.
decent lunch break at school where you're able to eat, or is it really hard to get your like have time to eat at school?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely really hard to have time to eat at school.
Yeah.
So, the way that our lunches work for our students is that it's in the middle of a class period. So, I teach 80-minute blocks, and
Mm-hmm.
my middle block class, at the middle of our class, they go to lunch for about like 18 minutes. And then
Mm-hmm.
they come back to me for another half an hour of instruction, and then they go to their next class. So
Mm-hmm.
in that 18 minutes, if I wanted to eat at that time of day, I would have to walk to the other side of the building where our staff refrigerator is,
Yeah.
get my food. If I want to heat anything up, then I have to use the microwave there and then walk
Mm-hmm.
back to my classroom. And then by that point, I probably have maybe like 8 minutes to eat. And that's also including like that's my first time if I during the day that like if I have to go to the bathroom, like if I have to go to the bathroom, that takes another like 3 minutes away from that time.
Yeah.
So it's really like very minimal. Um, but then later in the day I do have a prep period. So like I have one block that I'm not teaching.
I
The
don't know.
first
Wait, I don't know why I'm having a laughing attack, but I just keep thinking about you
like running.
running to get the kimchi. I don't know why.
Like shoving kids out of the way. Move, I have to get my kimchi.
Yeah. I was just thinking about
Oh
that.
my gosh.
But then you
So
have a later time, you said?
yeah, later in the day. So I have a prep period later in the day where it's a full 80-minute block. The first 40 minutes though is meetings. So every single day besides Fridays, I have some sort of meeting that I have to go to, whether it's with my team, so like all the other teachers that I share the same students with,
Mm-hmm.
or with the other seventh grade language arts teachers.
Okay.
So the first 40 minutes of that prep block is dedicated meeting time. And then the second 40 minutes is when I have prep. So a
Okay.
lot of times, like straight from the meeting, whatever meeting I'm in, I'll go and grab my lunch box, get my lunch, and then like eat my lunch while I'm grading or eat my
Mm-hmm.
lunch while I'm like lesson planning for the next day or something.
Yeah.
So there's really rarely a time where I can just like sit and relax and
Mm-hmm.
eat unless
Yeah.
I decide that that's how I'm going to use my time. And there are
Yeah.
days like that where I'm like, you know what? I just need to like turn the lights off in my classroom and I just need to like sit and eat and stare into space and like
Yeah.
not look at my computer
Well, yeah.
because like you have to make that time for yourself,
It's a problem in
which is
all like
frustrating.
every job, but I think
Yeah,
it's super important to take the time if you can and also like prep your meals because even when I was going into the office every once in a while, like at VTC, I feel like people don't really stop for lunch, and then all of a sudden it catches up on them, and then they're starving, and then
totally.
you don't feel good after school, and also for you because you've been like wanting to work out after school, so you need to make
Yeah.
sure you eat right, like
Yeah. So it's either like my exercise schedule has kind of evolved and changed a little bit this year. I've been experimenting with working out before school,
yeah,
which has been really interesting.
mm-hmm.
It's a little challenging, but I do really feel like it's energizing in a weird
Yeah,
kind of way. Like for the morning, I do really feel like it's it's really helpful.
Hmm.
But there are still those days where like I'm like, I don't want to get up that early. I'll work out after school. Um,
Yeah.
and if I don't eat right during the school day, I can't go straight to the gym. Or if I
Mm-mm.
do go straight to the gym, like I feel terrible.
Yeah.
And so I feel like this year and even last year, where I was going to the gym straight from school, I really noticed a difference in the way that like how I fuel my body directly impacts the energy that I have to exercise.
Hmm.
Um, so I feel like obviously like that sounds like something that would be so obvious to people. Like, yeah, of course, you have to put fuel into your body in order to do things.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've really felt what it feels like to like not properly
I
fuel and
think
then go
that
into a workout. I don't know.
I think people don't properly fuel and they just think that that's like normal to feel like that. Like, oh, I'm not gonna eat breakfast. And then, oh, I'm having like so many cups of coffee at work because I'm so exhausted. And they don't realize that like you need to fuel your body and
Yeah,
set yourself up for success, basically. If you're, yeah,
totally.
it's not normal to feel tired. And yeah, definitely if you're gonna be working out, you have to make time for it. It's very important. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because then it's
Yeah.
also like mentally, I feel so discouraged sometimes when I go to the gym and I'm like, oh, everything feels heavy today.
Hmm.
Why am I running so slow?
Yeah.
Why am I getting these like aches and pains? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's because I didn't drink enough water and I didn't eat right. Like
Yeah.
obviously, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and it could feel like mentally discouraging when you're not making that connection between how you're fueling and how you're feeling.
Hmm.
um but then when you realize like, oh, I can totally control how I feel based on how I fuel my body,
Yeah.
um I think that's really important to start
Hmm.
recognizing the foods that make you feel good and
Yeah.
allow you to do the things that you like to do.
Yeah. I'm also curious in the morning, do you go in the weight room or like the weight room, or do you just go in that back room still at the gym?
I have been pushing myself to go into the weight room more.
Yeah.
Especially so when Bonnie and I would go to the gym together, she would always push me to try new things, to not be intimidated by like the weight room because there are a lot of like
Men.
strong men.
Yeah.
To put it bluntly, it's like it's just full of strong men and like even like obnoxious teenage boys that like
Yeah.
I just
Oh,
do not want to be around when I'm like working out. They
yeah.
make me like self-conscious. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
um, but when I was with Bonnie, I felt like because I had a buddy and like she would push me and she would like set up the squat rack for me and like it was great. So I would go into that room more often. But then since Bonnie has left to go to Czech and we haven't been going to the gym together, I've been missing that part of my routine.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel like when I go to the gym before school, especially like early in the morning, that room is not nearly as crowded. And the type of people that are there, it's like people who want to get in, get their workout done,
Yeah.
and get out of there.
It's like
So I feel
dads,
like,
right?
yeah, it's like
And do they say hi to you
working
there?
professional people. Some people are like social, some people
Yeah.
will like, if you start to recognize each other, like I'm that
Yeah.
way too. When I'm in the gym, if I
Yeah.
start to recognize people, of course I'm going to like give you a little nod, say hi, good morning, whatever,
Yeah.
and go about my business.
Hmm.
Um so I feel like that's also an added benefit of working out so early is that the gym is less crowded and I'm
Hmm.
able to push myself to do things that like maybe I wouldn't feel as comfortable doing later
Yeah.
in the day when it's like packed.
Yeah.
So
And like
that's been
in
really fun.
Yeah, and in the morning, sometimes you're like exhausted, but it's so
Hmm.
worth it just to push yourself out of bed and do it. Like
Totally.
you wake up right away.
Yeah.
I also think back, like I definitely miss my morning routine at the gym back home because
Yeah.
like even when I was in Czech once for like the winter and then I came back, this one guy was like, what have you been doing? Where have you been? You've been sleeping in. You've been sleeping in. And I was like, no, I was like in Czech Republic. But I feel like people maybe are wondering where the heck I went in the gym. Like I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
disappeared there.
Yeah. No, that's how I
Yeah.
feel like with some of my friends that I made at the gym who I would see at like 5 o'clock
Yeah.
because that was like the busiest time. And I did actually make some like genuine gym friends, which
Yeah.
is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I have one friend who like will text every once in a while and he's like, "Where are you? What are you doing?" And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, I was busy with school. I'm working. I went this morning. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like I'll see you next time."
Yeah.
And it's cool that like I don't know, as you get more consistent with the gym, you actually like can start to make friends and it
Yeah.
becomes kind of like a little, it sounds corny, but
It's
like a
like
little
a,
gym community,
I
which
was
is
just gonna say that
motivating.
it's like a community. Like
Yeah.
even here in Czech, like I can't speak to anyone. I just say like hello to them every day in
Yeah.
Czech. But like I feel comfortable when I'm working out around people who I see all the time. Like I feel more
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah. And it's
So
motivating, I feel like,
yeah.
too, because you're like, oh, I also like I'm doing this thing that I is making me feel good, but also like the social connection and like meeting new people and making like genuine friendships with
Hmm.
people who share the same interests as you, like that makes it adds like an extra layer to the
Yeah.
gym, which
Yeah.
is really cool. And I feel that a lot at Orange Theory too.
Hmm.
So that's like it keeps you coming back because you have a community of people that are like so nice and so encouraging.
Yeah. And when you go to the gym, how are you deciding what workouts you want to do? I'm just curious, like how you come up with your routines with that.
Oh, that's the hardest part for me, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
for
Sometimes
everyone.
what I'll do is this sounds crazy, but and probably not very efficient.
I don't think it's crazy,
But
whatever you're gonna say.
sometimes what I like to do is like just take 5 to 10 minutes of just time to stretch,
Yeah.
and I'll stretch for a while and then I'll start doing some body weight stuff, like so just like squats, lunges, push-ups. And then I'll be like, "Oh, my squats felt good. Let me do a leg day."
Yeah.
Or,
That's
"Oh,
so
like
you don't have it prepared ahead of time, really?
not really." I feel like every once in a while I'll try to do that.
Yeah.
Um but I think at this point, because I have like a base knowledge of
Wait.
exercises and things that I like to do, I feel like I just kind of make it up as I go along. And I'll do a
Yeah.
couple sets of like something and then I'll like move on to the next thing. Um,
I feel
so
like the
I
worst.
really don't put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah, I feel like the worst podcast host right now because I'm having like a day where I just keep start laughing. I keep laughing. But the reason why I
That's
was
okay.
laughing is when Kelly was like, yeah, I know it sounds a little crazy. I know it
It
sounds a
sounds
little
a little crazy,
crazy.
but
I was imagining you saying, I was imagining you saying, I know it sounds a little crazy, but I've been using Chat GPT to come up with my workouts every day.
hey, that actually, so I
People do
have been
that.
messing around with Chat GPT every once in a while for like random stuff. And I actually feel like that would work really well.
It works
I had
well. I
Chat
think people
GPT
do
write me
that.
like a week-long meal plan at one point because I was like, I don't want to think about cooking. Like, let's see what Chat
Yeah.
GPT generates. And it was
Yeah.
like actually really good.
Yeah, I
So
would
I feel
actually
like,
recommend it to my listeners that if you're super stuck and you want some gym motivation, just be like,
yeah.
"Hey, write me like a full body workout or upper body, lower body and see what comes out." I think that
Oh,
they might give it.
totally.
It definitely, I know that you said that you don't prepare your workouts, but I think if somebody is like new to the gym and they're struggling to motivate, having a workout prepared is much more helpful to get
Yeah,
yourself
I would
going.
agree. I totally agree. I think it's probably not smart the way that I'm approaching it. I feel like I'm not seeing like the progress that somebody might see if they were to plan things a little bit more intentionally.
Yeah.
But most of the time when I'm going to the gym, it's like my goal, honestly, is just to like get movement in and feel
Mm-hmm.
good, get a little
Yeah.
sweat, and like that's kind of it. I'm not trying
Mm-hmm.
to lose weight. I'm not trying to like, you know,
Become a
have crazy goals on like,
bodybuilder.
yeah, I'm not trying to become a bodybuilder, but like the movement makes my body feel good, makes my mind feel good.
Yeah.
So it's not really something that like I don't
You
know.
don't need you don't yeah. It makes
I
sense.
don't need to have a super crazy plan just
Yeah.
based on like why I go to the gym,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And do you have a set schedule for the week of when you're gonna go to the gym, or is it kind of just when you feel like it? Like, how do you
I
motivate
try to
during the week?
schedule it. So
Okay.
with so I go to like the regular gym, but I also go to Orange Theory. So with
Mhm.
Orange Theory, I book my classes ahead of time, which holds me really accountable, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So I do two Orange Theory classes a week, and usually I'll do one 5 a.m. and one at like 4:30 on like Thursdays.
Hmm.
Um, I usually do the gym early in the morning for like the first half of the week. So like Monday, I'll do an early morning gym thing because I'll do kickball at night.
Oh yeah. Wait, it
Yeah.
started. It started already,
Yeah,
the
so
kickball?
kickball started. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay. I want
Yeah.
to talk about
We've had
that.
two games. We'll circle back to that.
Yeah.
So Mondays, I'll go to the gym at 5 a.m. Tuesdays, I'll go to the gym at 5 a.m. because I also work at the Y at the
Hmm.
gym
Yeah,
on Tuesday
I
nights.
was just gonna tell people that you work at the Y too.
Yeah. So I'll do the gym early Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday is usually my rest day because it's like the middle of the week. I'm starting to get tired. I don't really like to push myself too much on Wednesdays just
Yeah.
because I feel like I need to like mentally, physically recharge a little bit on Wednesdays. Um, then Thursdays, I'll usually do the gym after school. And then Fridays are kind of hit or miss. But then I always try to get something in on the weekends, like either like a walk or a run, or sometimes I'll go to the gym. So really I'm working out 3 to 4 times a week. That's like my goal
That's good.
is three
Yeah.
to four times. Yeah.
And then even on the
It's definitely
weekends,
not every day.
you're doing some movement. You like to go for
Yes,
walks
exactly.
still and do other
Yep.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would
Yeah.
be, I would like to talk a little bit about the kickball. Well, actually, no, before the kickball, first I want to talk more about your job at the gym, of why you got
Okay.
that
Yeah.
job
Yeah.
and how that happened.
Yeah.
So maybe
So
just share that with the listeners.
yeah. So at the end of last school year, I was thinking about things that I could do for summer work. And I was trying to come up with a bunch of different ideas. I was like, what can my summer job be? Because I'm really motivated to save a lot of money this year because Bonnie's wedding is next summer in Prague.
Yeah.
And so I want to do a lot of traveling next summer. So I was like, let me really prioritize saving money this year. So I was like, let me get a cool summer job. Let me figure out something to do. And I noticed that the Y was hiring. And
Hmm.
because I go to the Y and I work out there all the time, like I know the people who work there. Everybody's
Yeah.
really nice. Everybody's really friendly. And I was like, you know what? This seems like it would be a really positive environment to work in. So I applied, I got the job, and I started working there over the summer in membership services. So
Yeah.
basically, just working at the front desk, checking people in, selling memberships, registering people for programs, selling day passes. Um, and it's been really cool because it's allowing me to use my brain in a totally different way.
Hmm.
Because up until this point, any part-time job that I've had, with the exception of waitressing in high school, any part-time job that I've had has been kind of geared towards teaching. It's
Yeah.
been like tutoring, teaching swim lessons,
Hmm.
like college essay prep, stuff like
Yeah.
that, where everything is so focused on teaching that I
Yeah.
was like, I want to try something that's like totally new.
Hmm.
So I use a lot of like my organizational skills and my multitasking or whatever you want to say from teaching, but it's really a sales job, which
Yeah.
is really cool. And it's allowing me to kind of develop a different kind of skill set.
Hmm.
Um, and so when they hired me over the summer, they basically said we don't hire people seasonally for membership because there's a lot that you have to learn.
Yeah.
So if you want this job, we are expecting you to keep one or two shifts throughout the school year. Like if that's something that you feel like you can maintain, then absolutely we want to hire you. You're great.
Hmm.
And so I really had to think at that point, like, is this something that I want to add into my life, even during the school year too? And I was like, you know what? Let me give it a try because I think it's going to be a really fun job.
Yeah.
Um, so I've been working there 2 nights a week during the school year too.
Hmm.
Um, and it's been great actually. Like it's nice to have the extra money.
Yeah.
Um, it's fun to kind of see things from the other side of the desk too, because it's
Mm-hmm.
like I know what it feels like to be a member there, but I don't really know what it means. Well, now I do, but like previously I didn't know what everybody does behind the desk
Yeah,
and
you
how
get the
all of that works.
inside scoop on
Exactly.
everything. And are you
Yeah.
still tutoring too, or
No,
no?
I stopped the tutoring because that was just getting to be really challenging with like scheduling
Mm-hmm.
because I was tutoring for a boy who was in high school. Um and his schedule was constantly changing, and then the mom would tell me pretty last minute, and like they
Yeah,
were great people, very nice, but like just circumstances, like I couldn't be flexible enough for what they were
yeah,
looking for, I
yeah.
think.
You can't be flexible. You're not flexible.
No,
Like you have to have a set
like
schedule.
I need
Yeah,
structure because like
yeah.
I do have a lot going on in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like I'm living on kind of like a delicate balance of like,
Yeah,
I don't know, keeping everything structured enough so I can accomplish all the things that I want to do,
yeah.
you know.
And since you've been working at the gym, is there anything crazy that's happened or any like crazy stories that you could share? Like just something funny or like what was the
Hmm.
hardest, maybe a hard situation that you've had to deal with there? I don't know. I just that's where my
Let me
brain
think.
goes. My brain's like, oh, she works at the gym. Tell me the worst thing that has ever happened to you while working there.
No, I don't think anything too crazy really happened. Something that has been really fun though, is interacting with all of like the really, really old people.
Yeah.
Because working at the YMCA, they have programs that are specifically designed for our like senior members.
Hmm.
So through their health insurance, a lot of people can get free memberships if you're over 65, because
Hmm.
there's obviously major incentives for the health insurance if you're taking care of yourself, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I think just interacting with like the people who come in so regularly and are like 93 years old. There's this one woman who comes in almost like every day, 93 years old. She comes in like right in the morning, and she'll like say hello to everybody. She knows everybody's name. She's like so fit. And it's really inspirational when you
Yeah.
see these elderly people who are coming to the gym and are social and connected to their community and like in great shape. It
Yeah.
just completely expands your mind on what like the human body is possible of, because you think of being old and you're like, oh, they're frail, they're delicate, they're confused, they don't know what's going on. But then you see so many people who are not like that. And it's
Yeah.
like it really is a testament to what like taking care of yourself can do for you, both like physically and mentally as you get
Hmm.
older. So I feel
Yeah.
like that's like one of the most fun parts of my job, which sounds so crazy, but
No.
like seeing the older people and how they go to the gym and how they're moving
Yeah.
and like staying active, even at like literally we have members who are like in their 90s and
Hmm.
are like getting dropped off by like their kid or something.
Yeah.
um but it's unbelievable, so like
Yeah.
that's that I really love about my job.
Yeah, there was the one guy who was working out there the one day who was like he loves to dance or
Yes.
something. He's in
He
his
was,
ni he was in his 90s too, I think.
yeah. And
And,
Bonnie and I, so we went into this one room and there's this older man he was kind of like slumped over on
yeah.
the weight, like on a bench. And he was like breathing really heavy. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's having a heart attack. Like, this is terrifying. Is he okay? So, like, of course, I'm like, hi, sir, how are you? And he like jumps up and starts doing like jumping jacks. And he's like, I do this so I can go ballroom dancing.
Yeah, I don't remember it, but I just remember him saying
It
that he
was
loves
just
to dance.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all
yeah,
in the mind, and also if you don't use it, you lose it. And sometimes old people, they like,
totally.
I think like our grandparents, well, I don't know. Grandpa, he's very, very active. Grandma, she's,
Yes.
I mean, I don't even need to use our grandparents as an example, but in general,
Yeah.
grandma, I think she stopped going out at like sooner than grandpa. She kind of
Yes.
like, "Ah, I'm
Yeah.
old." Or some people just don't.
She discovered Amazon. That's what did
Yeah.
it. She was like, I
Amazon.
can order anything that I want on Amazon. So I can just like shop on Amazon and order a new shower curtain liner. I don't need
Mhm.
to go to Macy's. I don't
Uh,
need to go to Bed Bath and Beyond.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
I
know.
just always feel like age is just a number. Even our parents sometimes, like,
Totally.
I get very mad at dad when he's like, oh, I'm old. That's why I ache. I'm old. That's why this. And like, I'm like, no, like, don't be telling
Yeah.
yourself you're old. All this stuff is fixable. Not like, I know that when you get older, you're going to have aches and pains. I'm not like crazy, but like, you're also going to have aches and pains if you don't, work out as
Yeah.
much
Like
or,
at 26,
or,
I
or
have
if
aches and pains.
or if you're running every single
Yeah.
day, like if you're running
Yeah.
every single day, like dad, you're going to get aches and pains. If you
Yeah,
are
of course.
mixing up your workouts, walking, strength training, eating healthy, and like taking care of yourself, then you're not going to feel old.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's been really fun. I really enjoy that part of the
Yeah.
why. I
I
feel
was
like
going to
that's
say,
like so
yeah.
motivational.
Yeah. So you have your teacher, you also work at the gym, but I feel like you've also had other little side hustle jobs. For example, last year you worked and you did ski club at school.
Yes.
Are you going to do that this year too?
I'm hoping I can. So last year I was approached by our school librarian who is literally like the funniest person in the world. He's like 6'5", like giant grown man, and he like is our middle school librarian. I don't know why. It just like doesn't match in my brain, but he's awesome. So he was like, Kennedy, we're looking for like ski trip chaperones. You want to do it? And I was like, well, I don't ski. I've only gone skiing 3 times. Like, is that a problem? And he was like, no, we just hang out in the lounge and we count the amount of kids that we get. We make sure we don't lose anybody. And like, that's it. And I was like, no way. Like, you're making it sound too simple. Like,
And you
and we
get
get
paid to
paid for
do that.
this. And we get
Yeah.
paid to do this.
And
And I
is
was
it
like, okay,
once a
sure.
week or
It
what's it?
is 6 Fridays in a row in the
Okay.
winter.
All right.
So like it kind of stinks because I give up a Friday. It's straight after school. We put all the kids onto these like massive coach buses. And we drive to Shawnee. So it's like about an hour bus ride. So on that hour long bus ride, once I take attendance, I can just kind of like sit there and relax and it's easy, you know.
Yeah.
When we get to Shawnee, we have to help the kids get their rentals because a lot of them rent. So we kind of like walk them through that process. We make sure everybody has a buddy. And then we're
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, see you at dinner time. And we just kind of send them out. One of our teachers goes on the mountain and like snowboards too. So like he's out and about kind of like checking on people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's like pretty much it. And then they
Yeah.
come in for dinner at like 6, make sure we get everybody checking in for dinner. If we don't have somebody check in for dinner, then we're like, oh no, we lost a kid. Now let's try to
Mm-hmm.
figure that one out. But
Yeah.
that never happened.
But
Like
it,
that's
but
the
it,
thing that
yeah.
blows my mind is like last year it literally ran so smoothly every time, which was just
No, but
awesome.
yeah, but it's not all fun and games in terms of the injuries. You've had multiple injuries, right?
Yes, there were a few injuries. That was part of the fun too.
That's crazy. I want to hear about those
So we had a student
briefly.
last year. Um, I also didn't know, and this is probably me just being so naive. I had no idea skis were sharp. Like, did you know that on the edges of your skis, like they're sharp?
I mean,
Like it
yeah,
makes
I
sense.
think that yeah, they could be sharp.
Yeah, like it makes sense, but I just didn't know that because I don't ski or snowboard. So like I'm just not familiar with like that world. So like we
Yeah.
had somebody who got like sliced with a ski, went
Like
through her
where?
snow pants. It
Oh
went
my
through her snow
God.
pants and like it cut her like thigh. And she was fine. She just needed a band-aid, clean it, band-aid, whatever. But like I had no idea that that was a thing.
Yeah, that's
Um,
crazy.
but we
Did
did
someone
have a
run her?
student.
Someone like crashed into her or?
I don't remember. Like I
All
think
right.
they kind of crashed into each other and then like the one kid was like picking her foot up and it
Mm-hmm.
like went over the girl's leg or something. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Um but we did have a student last year who checked in for dinner and he was like, "Oh no, this was after dinner. This was like the end of the night. It was like we're getting the kids onto the buses." And he's like, yeah, can I just get like an ice pack? Like my shoulder really hurts. And we look at him and he's literally standing like lopsided. Like his one shoulder is like way lower than his other shoulder.
I would have
And we're
freaked
like,
out.
we're like, what's going on, buddy? Like, what happened? And he's like, well, like a few months ago, I broke my collarbone and it healed and it was fine, but I fell pretty hard on the last run of the night and like it hurts really bad. And so we're looking at him and we're like, oh my God, he re-broke his collarbone. Like that's what happened here. Like his shoulder is literally like hanging and he
Yeah.
just wants an ice pack. He's trying to be so tough. And we're like, how badly does that hurt? And he's like, well, it hurts pretty bad, but like my dad played a whole football game with a broken wrist, so I can handle this. And I'm like, whoa, like that's like we're talking about you, you know?
Yeah.
And I think he was just trying to be so tough and like just shake it off. But clearly this kid was in a lot of pain. And
Mm-hmm.
because he was on my bus, I had to take him to first aid with like another chaperone. So we took him to first aid. They're like looking at his shoulder. They're trying to like see what's going on. And they're like, yeah, there's definitely something like broken here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we're maybe an hour and 20 minutes away at this point in Pennsylvania. And so like we're calling his mother and like explaining what's happened. And she's like, they give them an option because he was like stable enough to like if he rode back on the bus with us, he would be okay and then just go straight to Morristown Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Or they could bring him to a hospital in Pennsylvania, right by Shawnee, and like our director of the program would like go with him, and then his mom would meet him, and it would be a whole thing.
Yeah.
So he decided to go back on the bus with us.
Mm-hmm.
And his mom picked him up at the school, and like the next day he came into school with like a sling, and he was cool, he was fine.
Yeah.
Um,
But
but
what a
that was really crazy.
but what
That was a
about
crazy experience.
what about when you told me that on the bus he was like, it's starting to be hard to breathe and stuff.
Yeah,
It was
that really
that
scared me.
that was
He
a
was
really
like, is
scary
it
bus ride, right? Like I
we
would be so
sat him in the
anxious.
front next to me and like the other chaperone just so we can keep an eye on him. And he's like, is it bad if it like hurts to breathe? And both of us are like, oh my God. Like, I generally am pretty calm when it comes to like injuries, sickness, whatever. Bonnie is literally the worst.
I'm
Bonnie, you are the most
horrible.
anxious person. If anyone is sick or injured, you're like, you make it so much worse because you're so anxious.
Yeah, I
So I'm
know.
like trying to be very
Which
calm and I'm like,
also, yeah, keep
go ahead,
going.
go ahead.
No, it's not a good trait for body wellness because I'm like supposed to be calm person and like healing. Sometimes I am. Sometimes I do have healing energy, but you're right.
Totally.
With the
Yes.
injuries, I'm not good with injuries. I'm
No.
working on
Or
it
like if
though.
somebody's, I don't know, you're very
Throwing
like
up.
yeah, if somebody's throwing up or like that's always like you try to like give your essential oils, give your little like wellness tips and
Yeah.
then you're like I don't want to hear
No,
it
mom's
though.
like vomiting or mom's like it's a headache. I'm getting my peppermint oil. Don't worry. I'm applying it to her and like I'm rubbing it on her.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's gonna be okay. Peppermint oil is gonna help.
And then she starts throwing up and you run away.
Yeah. Yeah.
um but yeah, this kid was like, is it bad if it hurts to breathe? And we're like, are you able to still breathe? Like, are you breathing okay? And he's like, yeah, I can still breathe. It just kind of hurts a little bit. And we're like, okay, well, we're like half an hour from home. So like just keep breathing, you know? And we're like, what can we tell this kid at this point? Like, we're not doctors, like, you know? So
Yeah.
that was very unsettling. And I just kept like watching him to make sure he was like breathing.
Yeah, I think
And he was okay. I think maybe he like bruised a rib or something when he fell. So
mhm,
that probably was why it was
yeah.
hurting. But
I think you're
yeah,
very good with injuries. I think Casey, our younger sister, she's the best with
she's the
injuries and
best,
sickness. Like she
easily.
no, she's
Yeah.
like crazy. Like anytime there's anything going on, I like am calling her or texting her because she's like the best at taking care of people, I
She
think.
really is. Like, and I don't know how, I don't know if it was like the youngest sister kind of thing where I don't know, she loved dolls and stuff when she was little. And she
Yeah.
always wanted to be like a mom. And she would like talk about like, when I grow up, I'm gonna be a mommy. And like
Mm-hmm.
she just always had that like natural caretaker thing in her,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And now working as a nanny, like the stories that she tells us, like,
Mhm.
oh, the kid like fell down and bumped his head or something. And my initial reaction is like, oh my gosh, like it's a baby. Like, is he okay? And she's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it happens. It's fine, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
she's so calm and so good with that. I don't know.
Yeah. Our younger sister, she is a full-time nanny, which like
Hmm.
suits her. Like school was never really for her, but she loves to take care of people. And she wasn't sure
Yeah.
exactly what she wants to do. So she's currently taking care of a 2-year-old who's almost 3, I think, and then a newborn baby who's like 6 months old now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like she's practically like a second mom for those kids. Like she's really
Yeah.
like oh my God, like she's
Very
really
involved.
very involved. And the baby, he was having some like stomach problems for a
Hmm.
while. I think like now it's improving, but she's like having to deal with everything, the vomiting, the like, oh my God, it's just so
Massive
hard.
blowout diapers.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to quickly
Yeah.
say, because it goes along with this injuries and stuff, um, not that it really is important for the podcast, but a couple weeks ago, Patrick and I, we were visiting a friend and we were hiking. And then all of a sudden, Kelly texted me and was like, we're at the beach. Dad broke his nose, but don't worry. And I was
Yeah.
like in shock. And I started freaking out just in the woods. Like I was having a panic because I was so scared about like what happened
Yeah.
and just imagining like a loved one in pain. Like that's like the hardest part for me. That's why I think I'm like too empathetic. Like I'm too worried and like I don't want anyone I love or care about to be in pain. And I put myself
Hmm.
in their position so much. And that's why I'm bad with injuries, I think. I'm just like,
Yeah. Because
I
you
don't know.
imagine, like, you think about what that person is going through, and then you're like, oh my gosh, that's so
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
And then you like freak out because you don't want anybody to be like,
Yeah.
and I think that's where your like wellness stuff comes in, is like you want everyone to feel their best, and you want
Hmm.
everybody to like, basically, you're just like, I want everybody around me to be like thriving, like
Yeah.
physically, mentally, whatever. And like when somebody isn't, I feel like you're like, oh my gosh, how can I fix it? And there are certain things that like you cannot control or cannot
Hmm.
fix, you know? And so I think kind of
Yeah.
surrendering that control helps a lot.
Hmm. And can you explain what happened that day with dad quickly?
Yeah.
I know it's not that important for the podcast, but I don't know. It's
Oh, it's just a
entertaining.
funny story. He's good now. He's totally fine, but it was really freaky. So we were in the ocean and there were some really big waves that day, like fun big waves. Like they weren't really like there wasn't really like a rip tide. You weren't feeling like you were being pulled, but the waves were big. So dad, of course, like the fun person he is, every time he goes to the beach, he likes to body surf. So he like catches the waves, rides them in, comes back, catches another wave, rides it in, comes back. And so I was in the water with him and he caught a wave. And then I was like, he's not coming back. Like, where is he? And so I turn around and I see him on the standing on the beach and he's like splashing his face off with the water. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, usually he comes straight back. Is he getting out? Like, is he going back to our like towels and stuff? And so I'm looking at him and he's like waving at me and pointing to his face.
Oh
And so
God.
I was like, okay, let me go back. And he's like, oh, I just got a bloody nose. Like, and I was
No,
like,
he was trying to be tough.
he gets bloody noses sometimes. He has really bad allergies. He has sinus issues. So I'm like, oh, maybe he just got like water up his nose and it triggered a bloody nose. And so we're walking back. And as we're walking back to the towel, he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure my nose is broken. Like I heard it crack. And I was like, what are you talking
And
about? And
was
I
he
look at
bleeding all
his
over his
face.
face at this point? Was he bleeding everywhere
Yeah,
at
he
this
was
point?
bleeding. And as we were walking, he was like getting in the water, splashing it off, walk a little bit more, splash it off, whatever. Cause he
Yeah.
didn't want to walk down the beach with like blood all over his face. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
But he was being very casual. So
Hmm.
I just thought up until this point, he just had a bloody nose. And then he just goes, yeah, I'm pretty sure my nose is broken. I heard it crack. And I'm like, hold on, what actually happened here? And he's like, well, the wave slammed me into the sand and like I heard it. And so I looked at his face and his nose was like sideways. Like you could see that there was like a lump. on one
And
side of
by the
his
way, my
nose.
dad's already broken his nose like 5 times. This was just another time.
This was,
Was
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So he's being
Yeah.
so casual, and we go back to the towel. And of course, mom starts freaking out and is like, oh my gosh, like, what are we going to do? And we also had Uncle Thomas there too. So our mom's brother came with us to the beach. And it was like his first time going to the beach in like, it had to have been like 15 years. And he was having such a good day. He was like, thank you for bringing me. Like, thanks for telling me you were going. And then dad breaks his nose.
Oh my gosh.
So mom was like freaking out and she's like, I'm telling the lifeguards. I'm going over to the lifeguards because maybe they'll have like a crushable ice pack for you. Like, because to get the nose to stop bleeding, you want to put ice on it. So she goes to the lifeguard, and because it's a head injury, they had to call EMTs. And dad was getting so embarrassed because the EMTs came to our like blanket on the beach and like made a whole big scene.
Yeah, but
And he was like, it was
what
scary though.
it's good
It was
though
a little
for them to
scary.
make a scene because I bet other people saw the incident or saw him bleeding and they were all like
Yeah.
anxious and they all were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I hope this guy gets checked out because
Yeah. Yeah.
we're all stressed out thinking about this guy on the beach bleeding and he could have
Yeah.
broken his neck."
Yeah.
So,
He like it could have been
like
so much worse.
he
He
could
could have
have
had like a bad
died.
concussion. It could have
You
been like really bad.
you hear about these crazy freak accidents when someone does something like
Yeah.
so simple and they are paralyzed or like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
die. He was,
Yeah.
oh my God, he's so lucky that he like nothing really bad happened. Like so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
And now our parents are in Ireland
Yeah.
having a grand old
Which you just
time.
got to see them, Lucky Duck, in
Yeah.
Ireland.
Yeah. I was gonna just like say one story to Kelly quickly. I feel like this podcast is like getting a little off track, but like again, guys, me and Kelly haven't like spoken in a while, so I just want to share one story because she'll find it funny. That we were at this restaurant, like Kennedy's, it was like a pub, and
Oh, cool.
mom wanted to order like half a pint of Guinness because she's like, "Oh,
Hmm.
I want to try it. I want to try it." And I
Oh
was like
no.
nervous because mom doesn't really drink that much and she usually gets sick from drinking. So I was like, "Really, mom? You're going to drink before like tomorrow you're leaving with the tour group. Today is not the day to be testing it out with alcohol. Like I don't want you to be feeling sick tomorrow in the van, all this stuff." And then like I was like not really paying attention and all of a sudden her drink was like totally almost gone. And so
Oh my God.
I was like I was like, "Oh my God, mom, you're really gonna feel sick tomorrow. You shouldn't have drank all of it, blah blah blah." And then dad was like, our food came and he like moved to a different table, sort of like he had to move a little bit. And he was like saying to mom, "Oh, you're really down in it easy. You're drinking it easy, Mary. Like you're down in it easy." And then like she whispered to me, but dad, he's like such a little airhead. He's not paying attention. Mom's like, "I didn't actually drink it, Bonnie. I poured my whole glass into dad's and he didn't even notice."
Oh my God.
It sounds so stupid. It was just so funny. Like, but
That's so funny.
they are very
So she didn't
hard.
drink it.
She drank like a little bit of it, but in general, like they are not, I'm not, they're hard to be with. My mom will listen to this
Yeah.
now, and I said this to them that like they stress me out. I worry about them way too much. I'm like, "Oh, do you
Yeah.
guys feel okay? You guys okay? You're not too tired?" Like I'm just always like worrying about them too much.
Yeah. I think like
I'm a
you
worrier.
have to remember that they're like grown adults too, you know? Like I think sometimes we see our parents as just our parents, and we forget that they're like human beings outside of that role of being a parent. And so
Mhm.
they're like grown people with like a lot of life experience outside of like parenting us, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what calms me down, is that like sometimes you might feel like you know more about certain things than they do, which is true. Like you travel so much more and have had such travel experience more than what they have had, and more than what I have had too, you know? But you have to remember they're like capable, competent
Yeah.
adults
Hmm.
outside of being our parents. And I feel like
True.
that calms me down a little bit, where I'm like, I know I would be able to go and do a lot of these things that they're doing because,
Hmm.
like, you know, I
Yeah.
trust that they're capable, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. So we've gotten a little bit off track here. I want to talk. And we're going from topic to topic. I want to touch briefly on the kickball. And then after that,
Yes,
we're gonna get back on track with some wellness stuff, just like what you're up to with wellness, and then we're gonna
totally.
conclude. So let's talk
Okay.
about kickball now.
Okay. So,
Go. Speak
last
about it.
spring, okay, go. Last spring, my co-teacher, who has become one of my like really good friends at this point, um, texted me and was like, let's do a kickball team. Oh, I think our heat just turned on. That big
Whoa.
boom. I don't know if you just heard that, but that
Yeah,
scared me.
that's okay.
But our my co-teacher, um, she asked me to do a kickball team. And at first, I was like very hesitant because I subbed for one of my friends' kickball teams like a few years ago. And I thought that it was like very intimidating and it was kind of stressful. And I didn't
Hmm.
really like it. But then after some convincing, Hannah, my co-teacher, was like, let's do it. Like it's gonna be really fun. And so I was like, you know what? Let's push myself outside my comfort zone. It's gonna be okay. I'll meet new people. It'll be fun. And it ended up being like one of the most fun things that I've done in the last like year. Cause
Hmm.
it was like some of my friends, like I got my best friend from like preschool, who I'm still really close with. I had her join. Bonnie, you joined us. It was a bunch of Hannah's friends and her boyfriend's friends. And it was just like a huge, like, mixture of different people
Yeah.
playing like a recess game. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? So it was like, it was very like for your inner child. Like it was just so fun.
It was really good.
Um, it was awesome. Like it was
Yeah.
really so fun. We made it to the finals, lost in the finals, but you know, we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
Then the same group of people, we all played beach volleyball over the summer, which was very challenging. It was not as fun, I think. Collectively, I feel like we didn't have as much fun with that as we did with kickball, but it was still a really cool experience to try something different. And now we're playing in a fall league for kickball, and it just
Hmm.
started like 2 weeks ago. So we play on Monday nights. It's a very like well-run league
Is
too, which
it
is really cool.
the same group?
Same league, same
Okay.
group. We have a few new people, which is cool. We have a few like new players.
Hmm.
One girl who's like really good. She played
Okay.
soccer in college, so she has like a really good kick. So
Where'd
that's really
she come
fun.
from? Like,
One of like Stoss's friends. Yeah.
okay.
So I don't know. So it's cool that like more people get added into the crew and we meet new people.
Yeah.
And it's just like to play on a Monday night and to have something that fun to look forward to on a Monday night. It's like literally the best. Like I love it. I will
Yeah.
tell everybody that I meet how much I love playing kickball on Mondays.
Yeah. It was definitely outside of my comfort zone too, but then at the same time, I've sports are not that outside of my comfort zone. I love like
Yeah.
sports and I'm a very competitive person. It was more like, being with new people. I was a little nervous at first, but it was so
Hmm.
much fun. It was like the highlight of my week every week when I was doing it. I wish that I was still home to be able to do it. But I definitely
Yeah.
am a very competitive person because in the finals I was
Definitely.
very upset because the other team, they are like a team that they've been around for many years together. They are so into
Yes.
it and they had an entire crowd come. Like imagine all these 20 and 30-year-olds on a team and then all the parents are there. Like
Yeah.
everyone came to support them and it was like
Yeah.
crazy. But we were actually winning the game most of the time and we had them so scared. Like they were shaking in their
Yeah.
boots. They were terrified and we were like just having the best time. Like it was just so fun to like scare the other team. And then at
Yeah.
the end, they even tried to like yell at us. They were like yelling about something and like it was a
There was
big
like a whole disagreement on like the
there was a
final call of the
whole
game.
yeah,
It's
a
like, oh
big
my gosh, we're gonna all fight
and
now,
then
clear the benches.
and actually like it was a little bit annoying because at the end of the game
Oh
was
my
the
gosh.
disagreement. And so the
Yeah.
other team ended up winning, but because there was like the disagreement and yelling and stuff, they didn't really celebrate or anything because they were just like it would be weird to be like having an argument with the umpires and then the other team and then they resolve it and then you go into celebration. They like didn't
Yeah.
celebrate. So that was also
It
annoying.
wasn't like a game deciding decision either, though, I don't think, right? Like at that
Um,
point they were up by what, like 2 or 3
or
runs?
no, it was because we thought we were supposed to have another
Oh,
chance
another
to
at
kick,
bat. You're
another
right.
at
You're
bat, but
right.
then we didn't. So
Yeah.
there was some
Yeah.
disagreements with the rules with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Whatever. We had to
anyways,
play that same team for our first game of this season.
really,
Yeah.
did
And
you lose?
they lost a couple people. They Some of their like key people were a little bit different this time.
Mhm.
So it was a closer game for like the first half, but then of course they like
Yeah, this
completely
team, guys, like they're kicking
they're
home runs.
so
Do you know
good.
how hard it is
Like
to kick
over
a
the
home run?
fence.
It's
Yeah.
like the size, I think it's the size of a softball field, the fence, the
Yeah.
distance, and they're kicking it
Yeah.
over the fence. That's
It's
not easy to
unreal.
do. That's really not
Yeah.
easy to do.
Like clean over the fence too. Like
Yeah.
it's wild. And they have a lot of people who are really good in the field. So I feel like we have a few people who can like throw the ball hard and fast and like get it
Yeah.
to where it needs to be. But
Hmm.
generally, like, I don't know. I feel like we need more depth in our fielding, but
Yeah.
whatever. We'll get there. It's still
Yeah.
early in the season. I have hope. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So now I'm going to transition a little bit. We've covered a lot of different topics, a lot of random
Yeah.
stories too along the way. But I want to just talk about like if there's anything else in terms of your wellness that you've been like experimenting with lately or anything that's new for you. I know for a while you like stopped drinking coffee. Now I think you're drinking coffee again. I just want to know like any wellness updates with you.
Yeah, so I was actually thinking about coffee the other day because I stopped drinking coffee in the springtime last year. And I've only had coffee, caffeinated coffee, like once or twice. And both
Really?
times, yeah, since
That's
then,
crazy. Oh my
since
God.
April, I've only had caffeinated coffee maybe once or twice. And both times it made my stomach hurt so bad.
Both
Like
times I
within
had
like
explosive diarrhea.
yeah, I wasn't gonna say that, but yeah, both times I was running to the bathroom
Sick.
within like half an hour.
That's
It
funny.
was terrible. Um, I have had some decaf coffee here and there just when I'm craving it. Like my boyfriend and I went to the diner the other day and like I can't go to the diner and get an omelet and like enjoy my breakfast if I don't have a cup of coffee. Like it's just such like a diner coffee is just such a thing. I don't know
Yeah.
why. So I got a decaf coffee and it didn't affect my stomach. I felt totally fine. But I was thinking about coffee because this is the first like beginning of a school year where I'm not drinking any caffeine. And like that used to be such a part of my morning ritual was like either making coffee or like going and buying a
Yeah.
coffee that like some days I still really, really crave it.
Hmm.
Um, and the only source of caffeine that I have at this point is like very occasionally I'll have a cup of tea.
So
Like
you don't have anything that you do in replacement. You just don't do anything.
I
Really?
just don't do
Okay.
anything. I think I've kind of replaced it with being more conscious of drinking a lot of water when I wake up.
Okay.
Because I feel like a lot of that grogginess in the morning is actually just dehydration.
Hmm.
Um, so I think on mornings, especially when I'm waking up really early to work out, I will chug like half of my Nalgene water bottle. I'll chug like 16 ounces of water. And then I'll like get out of bed and go about my business and do what I need to do. But I feel like that initial like rehydrating in the
Yeah.
morning really gets rid of a lot of like the grogginess that I used to turn to coffee for. Um,
You know, I haven't been able to be successful with giving up coffee. And my followers know because I always say, I'm taking a break from coffee, guys. I haven't had coffee in a month because I went 1 month without having coffee, like when you
yeah,
stopped originally.
yeah,
But like I love the ritual of making coffee. And also like here in Czech, Patrick and I were always going to little cafes and I love a little cappuccino. And I just love
yeah,
coffee. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to fully give up coffee. I don't really like, to me, I don't really see a full point of needing to give up coffee fully. But
yeah,
I guess like trying to drink higher quality coffee when I can. And I just don't like being dependent on caffeine, which right now I kind of am. I have
Totally.
been trying to have like tea instead, but it's just hard. It's hard to. I have never been able to fully give up coffee. It's like a
Yeah. No, it's
journey.
definitely really hard. And I really do crave, like, it's not the caffeine that I'm craving anymore. It's like the ritual, like you're saying,
Yeah.
and also like going to a coffee shop and getting coffee. Like, I love doing that. And I still am able to do that because I'll get decaf. So, like, if I go like in
Yeah.
Morristown, there's so many cute little like coffee shops and stuff. So, like, I love walking into town and getting a coffee.
But is there a
But like,
reason why you stopped drinking coffee, really?
yeah, so I feel like there were a couple different reasons that I initially started experimenting with it. One reason was my skin,
Yeah.
because I was reading about how horrible for your gut health um and your hormone health drinking coffee and drinking caffeine is on an empty stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's typically what I would do is like I'm not a huge breakfast person. I have been now that I've been working out in the mornings, but like typically last school year when I first gave it up, I was drinking my coffee on an empty stomach and then I wouldn't eat until like 10:30, maybe sometimes 12:30 depending on if I ate during that break when the kids eat or
Yeah.
if I ate during my prep.
Mm-hmm.
Um so drinking coffee on an empty stomach, I wanted to see if taking that out of the equation would improve my acne that I've been struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it actually really did help at first. Um, but something that I really noticed a major difference is like also as a teacher, you can't go to the bathroom very easily when you're
Yeah.
teaching. And I teach the first two blocks of the school day. So that means between 7:40 and like 10:30 in the morning, I can't go to the bathroom. And like coffee, I felt like was making me have to
It
go to the
makes you
bathroom.
pee and
It makes, yeah,
everything.
it's a diuretic, caffeine. Yeah, like
Yeah.
not even like go to the bathroom like poop. It like makes me have to
It
pee
makes you
like
pee a lot.
really
Yeah.
urgently. And so I
Mhm.
felt like I need to get this under control because there were days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna pee in my pants while I'm teaching. Like this is terrible. Um, and I feel like that has made a massive difference in like my ability to not have to pee while teaching,
Yeah.
which is just like convenient, that's just like a side benefit,
Yeah.
um, which is good, I guess.
Hmm.
So I like not having to urgently go to the bathroom while I'm teaching. I
Hmm.
like that it kind of helps with my skin,
Yeah.
and like my hormone and gut health. I think that's really helpful.
Hmm.
um and it's less sugar because like I wasn't drinking my coffee black. Like I would put some sort of creamer in it, usually like some sort of flavored creamer, and that I would try to find healthier versions of like a flavored creamer like a vanilla or a caramel, but like there's always junk in that kind of stuff, like
Yeah.
artificial sweeteners and flavors and
Hmm.
canola oil in creamers.
Hmm. No,
um
but yeah. In talking about creamers, did mom tell you that I
yeah.
heard back from that company? Um,
No.
what's the company that dad, the type of creamer that dad uses?
The coffee mate
All
or
right, 1 second.
simply?
1 second, everyone. I'm putting my headphones down. You have to share this.
This is so funny. Our dad has tried like three different types of
Yeah, I'm
creamers.
I'm here. So
Okay, what is
dad
it?
was dad was drinking uh natural bliss creamer. And I was
Oh,
very
okay.
upset because they had this real milk and cream creamer that did not have any canola oil. It was literally just like heavy cream and sugar and I guess vanilla. It was only like three ingredients. It was super, super, super healthy. And so I wrote a complaint letter to the Natural Bliss Company, and
No
they
way.
they responded with a letter plus a coupon. And here they said, Bliss Seeker, we received your passionate feedback regarding recent changes to our Natural Bliss real milk and cream based creamers, and we listened. In response, we are happy to inform you that we are removing the added soybean oil, gel and gum, and buttermilk ingredients and returning to a simple 4-ingredient recipe that consists of milk, cream, sugar, and natural flavor. Your satisfaction is our #1 priority, and we are grateful for your loyalty and passion for natural bliss. You will start to see our new recipe hit grocery store shelves in late September 2023. And then they sent me with a coupon. So guys,
oh my gosh,
this is cool. They sent me a response because I was so upset that Dad was
shocked.
He was drinking freaking soybean oil every single day, like having this creamer, and it's really hard to get people.
Previously, let me just like back up for a second. Previously, the Natural Bliss creamer did not have soybean oil.
Yeah,
and then they changed the recipe and it added it.
It added like soybean oil, and
so when they changed the recipe, that's when you reached out.
Yeah, because it changed, and I was like really annoyed because like
that's so funny.
Just because like my dad is drinking the creamer every single day, and I'm like upset, and I was trying to get him to switch to a healthier creamer. But the options are very slim. And I think that the company, they just know that, more people are becoming more health conscious. This is a trend. So
yeah,
they want to be able to compete with all the creamers out there who still have soybean oil. They need to be able to compete. And that's a great way to, differentiate. So yeah,
yay, cool. Natural bliss.
Yeah, but that's also my problem.
Awesome.
I also am putting like honey and stuff into my coffee.
That's good.
I don't know. I don't think I'm ever really gonna give up coffee. I think that it's good to like take breaks. Like I like to just take like little breaks every once in a while. Again, for the skin, I just need to reduce my sugar in general, I think, for my skin, because I do have the acne, like the hormonal acne, the same as you. So the sugar is like a big thing for me.
Yeah. I've been really bad about my sugar intake this week because it's getting close to Halloween, and at work they were giving these like secret boo buckets. So I got into work on Monday and I had like a bucket of candy on my desk. And like all week I've been like eating M&Ms and like Snickers just because like I have it, and it's like it's rough.
It's the fall season. I've been making apple crisp here. I just made another apple crisp yesterday. It's so good, but I'm happy because a few of Patrick's friends are coming over tonight, some hockey players. So I'm gonna like just let them finish it up.
Yeah.
But I just, you have to indulge every once in a while, especially this time of the year. The fall is the best time of the year. I love pie. I love anything apple related flavors.
Yeah.
Apple crisp, apple pie.
Yeah.
So I love it.
It's tough because I like we were talking about before, where you really feel that like as I've started to get healthier and like make different choices, like I really feel that connection now between like what I'm putting in my body and how it's making me feel. And this week it's like I'm very aware of the fact that like I had way too much sugar, and like I feel it like in my skin. I know like I have a couple like pimples that are about to come out. Like I know that I'm gonna break out this weekend. Like I'm tired. I feel puffy. Like it's just, it's tough.
I feel like it's funny how some people like they don't really notice. They're not very in tune with their bodies, and some like they'll eat something and they don't understand that this like really dictates sometimes how you feel. But for me,
it's kind of like, I don't know. Oh, go ahead.
I'm super sensitive. I'll have pasta or something one night. I wake up the next morning. I look in the mirror. My face is so puffy. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my
what
God.
the heck did I eat? It's like the gluten and the sugar. It makes me puffy. I don't think
Yeah. It's kind of like that book that you're reading right now, where people are asking questions like, is this normal? It's like thinking about the way that your body is reacting to certain things. I don't know if that's like accurate to what you're reading currently, but I don't know why it like kind of made me think about that. Yeah. It's kind of funny.
Is it normal? It's not normal. Like I'm always like, people think it's normal, but it's not normal. But my book is not really about food related stuff. It's about like hormonal health. And it's a very good book to read if you're a woman, or if you're in a relationship. For men and women, it's like just so much like information about all different things: sex, hormones,
and
bodies, nutrition, like good like nutrition tips and supplement tips for improving your hormonal health, like all that stuff. It's just like a good book. I'm loving it so far.
That's really cool. I
I'm
should
not a
probably
big
read that
reader. I'm not
next.
a big reader, but I'm already like
Yeah.
70 pages in and I just
Oh, that's
started it. Like
awesome.
I'm like really
Yeah.
going with it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's so cool.
all right.
Nice.
So I think we covered a lot today. And so I
Yeah.
think that we'll definitely be podcasting together again in the future. So
Yeah,
we
definitely.
don't need to, make this podcast too long. But before we finish, I wanted to ask you to describe your idea of an amazing day. What does your ideal day look like? What are you going to be doing throughout the day
Okay.
to
This is a
conclude?
tough question, but I guess I would wake up at like a normal, reasonable time, maybe like 8 o'clock. So I wouldn't be like forcing myself out of bed super early. I wouldn't be sleeping in too much, but just like a moderate, normal wake up time, I feel like is around 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Um, from there, I would love to get a nice breakfast. So maybe like an omelet, a decaf coffee, maybe some fruit. And then from there, I would love to get some movement in. So, like, whether that's going to the gym or maybe going on a walk,
Mm,
getting outside if it's a nice day out. I'd love like the fall weather right now.
yeah.
Um, so the opportunity to get outside and get some sunshine is like really important to me and
Mm-hmm.
definitely is like an essential part of an amazing day.
Yeah.
Um, and I also would definitely want to prioritize making time to like connect with my friends and see my boyfriend and stuff. Because I feel like the relationships that you have definitely fuel your like I don't know, fuel your soul. It's
Yeah.
good for
Yeah.
you.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely like making time to see my friends, see my boyfriend, do something with them, I think would be really important as part of my amazing day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I feel like just keeping it simple on an amazing day, not
Yeah.
trying to overschedule yourself, not trying to overextend, just like easy floating through the day,
Mm-hmm.
movement, good food, good people. I
Kimchi.
think those are really some kimchi, some cottage cheese.
Yeah.
I would say that is definitely like good food, good people, movement. Those are like the three ingredients for my amazing day.
Kimchi.
Um,
Yeah. Sounds like an
that's
amazing
really
day.
it.
That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Simple.
Um,
I like simplicity. Like that is all that I need is just
yeah.
easy kind of stuff.
Definitely, definitely. All
Yeah.
right, so I appreciate you coming on today to the Amazing Day podcast. We'll definitely be podcasting together again soon. But yeah, I hope that you have a great rest of your day and thanks again for joining me.
Yeah, of course. It was so fun. See you guys
Yeah.
next time.
Bye.
Bye.